on Overgrowth, we have action already underway, so we'll get the introductions out of the way quite quickly. Over here on the bottom left-hand side, we have from Team Composite, representing the yellow cable, it is TUXerino.
Oh, yeah, and his opponent, putting on some early pressure up in the top right-hand corner, it is our Red Terran hailing from Scotland, and currently teamless, Genesis. Apparently he's playing Fuzzy Squirrels, actually.
Oh, and he is going to
immediately.
Spotted right away. He's even going for the add-on.
Wow.
Despite
okay,
the scout, he destroys the add-on.
Wow, this is a little bit daring, but I mean,
what was that? He could have finished him.
Since it was just a single proxy Rax for the proxy Marauder, I feel like he can still do some damage even with it having been scouted. He can certainly take control of the low ground for a very long time.
But he did, however, start a Reaper.
What?
None of this makes any sense.
I mean, Genesis did say he was a little out of practice with Terran, but you haven't needed the Tech Lab to build Reaper since Wings of Liberty. Now, admittedly, this is exactly what I did when I first started Hard the Swarm and tried to Reaper Rush. But yeah, I don't know what's going on here. I think Genesis maybe just decided to stop committing to it and he's gonna get out like a normal sort of Reaper, but with a off a proxy Drax. I don't know. What do you think?
You could say that it was like a trick to do this, but I don't know what the trick is then.
Yeah.
Like I don't know what the Marauder attack would bring out that the Reaper attack would not bring out. So, and then it's just delayed. So he is kind of in there around the mineral line. He's going after what SCV, not going to get it. He's going to get trapped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's always a little difficult to tell because Overgrowth looks like it should have some Reaper jump spots in the back, but it just doesn't. It's probably the second worst map in the pool for Reapers, right behind Expedition Lost. But Genesis, after just getting a couple of Reapers out, is going to flow his Rax over. A little bit of an early deficit, mainly coming in the fact that the factory for TUXerino is already up and running. Genesis has obviously not got any kind of tech. Or sorry, his factory is just about 2/3 complete now. But it's a pick off an SCV
kill.
It's nice, but I don't think it's enough given how much he had to commit to that.
Yeah, definitely not. Although weirdly enough, he is ahead in SCV count by 2-1. But it's because TUXerino has gone for the 1-1-1, is now expanding there on the low ground. Their expansions are actually pretty in sync, or at least the command centers. One is built in place. It's the lone, really lonely tech lab that is interesting. It blocks the third.
Yeah, you're right, it does. And not only that, but did you know that if you land a Terran building on an opposing tech lab, it converts to your side? Yeah. Not the only, but one of the few instances of mind control in StarCraft.
I think I've seen someone win a game that way.
Yeah, that's how I found out about those. GIF from Reddit ages ago, like years ago, about that. It's cool.
Yeah. Indeed.
Either way, Genesis does now have his star put up, getting a Raven out, but it's not really going to do much against this aggression. In fact, it's kind of difficult to think how Genesis is going to hold this off because he's got 3 Marines and SCVs, and that's all. There's 2 Hellions and 8 Marines here for TUXerino, and the Hellions are going to do so much splash damage as Genesis pulls his SCVs.
Yeah, and he's supply blocked him here by killing the 2 depots up front. It's hard to see what he's going to be able to do. A Raven is coming out, but I don't know what that's for, and it's going to die right away.
Yeah, pretty much, and things are not looking so hot for Genesis here. TUXerino is absolutely tearing through him, straight in the middle line, and GG.
That was fast.
We're in game 2, and we're in Catalina. So, first player spawning up in the top position, round about 1 o'clock. It is a yellow Terran player from Team Composite, TUXerino. El Cappuccino, no Pacino. San Bernardino.
And our red Terran player in the bottom right-hand side of the map, who I'm pretty sure was convinced that he was proxy gating in the last game. It is from Team Fuzzy Squirrels and Scotland, Genesis. Do you think he's named after like the biblical thing or the Phil Collins band?
You know, I don't know. Or, I mean, Genesis has just become a word in and of itself, just because of how the Bible's a pretty popular book.
That is true. It is popular.
Also, I've heard.
Yeah, that and Twilight.
Yeah. I don't know if the Bible's more popular than Twilight. Probably.
Maybe.
Anyway, yeah, like just it's become to mean like beginnings, and maybe he's just taken it from that word. I mean, my name was pretty much just a random word I picked out of a chemistry textbook because I was supposed to be revising rather than thinking up new names for my online hand. So
he's got the Devil Reaper, the Mass Reaper coming out. Speaking of what he's actually doing, this could indeed be the genesis of a Mass Reaper attack. Or something. Yeah,
I mean, you were saying in the break you're wondering if we'd see some Mass Reapers, and it looks like Genesis is going to make that happen for you. And I'm a little bit surprised he didn't attack that. I think he's... Well, I mean, he certainly still could have got a bit of damage on that Marine.
Once you get a shot or two. Oh, he's...
Whoa, got to be a bit careful.
Yeah, that was a little risky, but whatever. He'll still have time to heal.
Yeah, as long as he can keep getting free damage and let those Reapers heal up to full. I mean, that one Marine guarding the ramp is looking pretty vulnerable here against 3 Reapers. Joined by a friend. I don't know. We'll see. They jump up. Pow, 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 pow. 1 dead Marine. Pow, 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 pow. 2 dead Marines. But there's a Hellion now.
He is this Hellion. Yeah, he gets the weak one away.
Oh,
super
nice
weak one there as well. He's kind of... I think he's going to get back down.
Yeah, he's got to get back down, heal up, especially with the threat of that Hellion. The second Hellion out now is
2 of them.
Really, really help. Hellions are one of the strongest units against Reapers in the game, just because they get so much bonus damage to them. The big strength of Reapers is their super early game speed.
It's a trap. Okay, he does get one, though.
He gets one.
That could have been pretty bad.
Yeah, and he gets out without losing any Reapers.
Making sure he's not taking full splash.
Yeah, this is really nice. 1 Reaper's going to go down here. First unit Genesis has lost, though, and so far he's done really, really well. He's now trading off against SCVs, but losing 2 Reapers is a bit of a blow. But he does manage to keep the Hellion numbers under control a little bit for now, and pick off 1 or 2 SCVs. Also, of note, behind this, Genesis is finishing up his command center and a factory to barracks of his own, so he's not going so all in with this that he doesn't have any kind of transition.
Yeah, and Tux has kind of lost the ability to patrol the borders. But there are 2 Hellions out, so this next little engagement, he's kind of diving in for SCVs here, which is a one-way trip. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah, I think he wants to trade them off, but the question is whether he'll have enough to defend this drop, because this is kind of how we saw him lose last game, was putting on a little bit too much into his aggression and then didn't have anything to defend. Now, TUXerino this time has taken some damage, so he doesn't have as strong a force as he did before, and we'll see how much damage he can actually get done. He's just got 3 Hellions and 2 Marines, and Genesis this time has a Reaper and 3 Marines, so we'll see how it goes. It'll all depend on the Hellion shots, really.
Yeah, definitely how the initial lineup of the SCVs here is going to tell the tale. He does spot the drop, comes in with the Hellion first, which is good. Will absorb some of the damage. SCVs can, of course, always just run down, but he's actually bringing them with him.
Yeah, 1 got down.
Nice.
Pushes out, so not too badly. Not too badly at all there for Genesis.
Good hold. Good hold. He was really brave bringing the SCVs back in. If 3 Hellions were alive and shot, but it turned out okay.
For a second, I thought he was actually sending them back to mine, and I was like, whoa, are you sure you want to clump those up versus Hellions? But it was all good. Genesis.
Now we've got 2 Vikings coming across as well as a tank. 2 Viking, like with low army and like a no healing, 2 Vikings landed are like really good.
Well, yeah, not only that, especially against Marines actually in the early game when they don't have steam or combat fields or anything. But even when they're in the air, they provide that dominating air control. Just a small, they kind of snowball. because again, you sit over your opponent's production, one Viking at a time pops out, and your Vikings get the first shot off. This is another great spot on Crackalaner, just seizing up the main with the tank on the low ground, and TUXerino is gonna, he's just gonna move forwards a little bit. I don't think he can actually take this. Oh, but getting in range of his tank. If he fights in range of his tank, I think that's a definite possibility. But Genesis has his own tank up now. And yeah, second tank for TUXerino. So things are looking a little bit dicey. I think this Rax is, it's going to lift. It's going to try and get away, and it should manage to.
Yeah, well, more Marines almost lost more than just that one. Trying to bait them in. Yeah, tank now, elevator up to the high ground. We'll be able to see it's closer in range of this starport.
Yeah, and this is getting tougher and tougher for Genesis. The tank can just chip away. All of TUXerino's forces are being gradually lifted up to the high ground. This is like a slow, gradual doom drop. In that the units all end up in Genesis's base. They just kind of slowly pepper forwards with the tanks, and the problem is it comes so much earlier, and Genesis doesn't really have the overwhelming mass of Marines that you usually use to beat doom drops by just kind of swarming them. And a couple of medevacs come out, and the Vikings are already working away at them. One of them is going to go down. Not quite. They do get away, but very low.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to clean this up, but if he ever does, and he's being really patient here. Oh, the starport could actually die. Does not. He could have taken one more shot and killed this. It may still burn in the air. It's going to burn in the air. That's a huge mistake to allow
really
that. He could have stopped that.
Yeah, there's literally no possible way for him to have air control. He can theoretically deny TUXerino's, but he cannot have air control without Vikings, without Banshees, without something to actually put up there, because he can't build it because he doesn't have to stop anymore. And TUXerino is gradually chipping away at his factory as well, so he's not going to be able to build tanks when that falls. TUXerino is getting his expansion up, getting all his stuff in gear, and TUXerino just has more tanks than Genesis does in Genesis's base, let alone the one that's sitting outside and any other ones going around the map. Genesis does have a third base up, or just about up, but it's not going mining, and I feel like this is more something that if Genesis gets away with it, he'll do quite well. But right now, TUXerino might not even let him get away with surviving the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, he's now shelling the bunker up front. Another factory is going down. Obviously, Genesis is cramped for space, but I think this is, given how much money he has, how many SCVs coming in now, I think he will clean it up.
Yeah,
he will break through here.
Nice. Close, but he will clean up. And I think this was worth it for TUXerino. He also still has a tank at the natural that Genesis is going to have to clean up.
Yeah, the only thing is, once Genesis does eventually clean this up, and he will now, he's got 60 workers compared to 30.
Yeah.
And 3 bases. And everything's landing here now. The tank sieges back up. He's going to drop right on that position. SCV's coming in for the repair, but it does go down. But this next wave of Marines should clean everything. Yeah,
the friendly fire actually from TUXerino's tank.
He'll be able to go against the tank itself
Genesis
now.
More than anything else. And Genesis is just going to clean that tank up.
He didn't have to lose the last 6 of those, but that's fine.
Yeah, whatever. A little bit of splits would have done wonders there. But TUXerino is still not letting up the pressure. And though Genesis may have 57 workers, he's only got 20 army supplied to TUXerino. Has 41. TUXerino completely outstripping him in that regard. And we'll see how much damage TUXerino can get done. This is a horrifically oversaturated main mineral line for Genesis. 25 out of 24 workers. Should really transfer some of them over to the third. But
will this drop come in? There's a drop parked outside the main base. It could come in at this point. The army is out of position. Could get there, get sieged up. There's only 1 tank this time, but it could still do a lot of damage. I think he wants to sync it up with this Marine force coming down the middle.
Yeah, just try and distract Genesis.
But now here come turrets. Yeah. So he's got a clock on this of about 15 seconds. Well, they're not going to necessarily
one angle though. Yeah, they're not covering TUXerino coming in behind the mineral line really. But although TUXerino's just splitting up a few Marine forces, trying to get more scouts off. There they are. They're in the medevac, dropping on the third base. And at the same time, the two medevacs come in towards the main, take a bit of missile turret fire, but then get back in there. And one siege tank and a bunch of Marines. Going to siege up, going to take a nice position up here in Genesis main base. But Genesis has so many Marines right now.
He's got to watch clumping up, though, as they come through here. They're going to be great target fire for the tank. Stemming forward, and we'll take that out.
Yeah. Oh, wow. Genesis lost his third base while this was going on. So really, really nicely done by TUXerino. A couple tanks going down as well, and TUXerino is just continually keep chipping away at Genesis, taking down to 54 workers now. And Genesis has never really been able to get an overwhelming force. This is a ton of Marines, but without the medevac support, without a load of tanks to help that out as well, it's going to be really, really difficult for Genesis to actually put any aggression onto TUXerino. And TUXerino is now getting his own third base, and whilst he's doing everything economically a little bit slower, he's covering it with so much aggression that Genesis isn't ever able to actually
to get out and do anything. Yeah, now that his own third is going up, we've got Genesis floating down to the third at exactly the wrong time. We'll have to turn that around. No combat shields either for Genesis's Marines, whereas they are completed on Tux's side. That's the only upgrade difference at this point, but yeah, it's a pretty big one.
Yeah, it's pretty important. Doesn't matter so much against tanks, but particularly against the Marines, it's going to be quite important. Just that extra 10 health is another 2 hits from Marine or something. So yeah, we'll see how much that actually matters. But every stim as well is really hurting Genesis right now, because that early loss of that starport means his medevac count is so much lower than it would be. We just see like one medevac having to heal up like 20 injured Marines or something, and just doesn't have the energy.
Big supply block for both players right now. Neither of them even starting a supply depot, and both stuck at the count they're at. And no real reaction to that yet. There, we finally have Tux making 2 depots.
Yeah, worth noting as well that Genesis is just that's like 30 seconds away from having 2-2. And when he does, TUXerino's 2-2 hasn't even started. So when Genesis does secure that, that'll be a big advantage, possibly even bigger than combat shields. And yeah, it's going to serve him really, really well for a long, long time, given that TUXerino, does he have an armory? No,
no, he doesn't. Yeah, so that definitely will be super delayed, particularly if he can then continue on to turn 3.
Yeah, definitely. And he should be able to do that, given his early econ lead. Yeah. Although TUXerino is now kind of catching up to that. There's a lot of gas
being focused on basically now, but Genesis is stemming out.
Going. And this is going to be a bit tough. Not seizing up his tanks, but he looks like he's got enough overwhelming force of Marines to just take it. And he routs TUXerino, secures his third, and is finally actually going to be able to get to his opponent's side of the map.
Yeah, both of them still actually almost exactly even in actual army supply, but as you said, the upgrades in favor of Genesis, even though the combat shield is not there, it's about halfway done now. That was plenty. He even didn't engage that perfectly. He was stuck on the ramp too long, but it still worked. Forces coming. We'll catch this small group out of position.
That's kind of annoying. Genesis is going back to try and... Oh, yeah, he has to come back to try and defend this because he loses third. But I think Genesis is just going to move forward to try and trade thirds. Rely on his own kind of defense advantage to hold at the natural. He does have one siege tank there. But, I mean, if TUXerino gets out of this with his command center, it's going to be a big, big win for him. And Genesis isn't actually pushing forwards to try and deny that.
Yeah, I think if Genesis goes for, like, the SCVs move just slightly over to the other side. Oh, really?
Yeah, I guess so. Genesis scans TUXerino